I couldn't care less what a foreign leader thinks about our fentanyl problem. I almost announced I was going to be moving the capital to Osoyoos. Chinese community businesses are forced to move further and further away to avoid the danger. Mark Carney recently told a group of Liberal supporters that fentanyl is not a crisis in Canada, just in the United States. Liberals want more of these drug dens in every single community in our country.
First, thanks for making this an indoor event. I'm glad you have someone from the Lower Mainland on your advance team to give you a sense of our climate.
That's right.
The right call.
That's right. Well, you should have been with us in the South Okanagan the other day.
I grew up in Kamloops, man.
You know what it's all
tugging
about.
my heartstrings. My heart's still in Kamloops.
I know. I almost announced I was going to be moving the capital to Osoyoos, but thought that
it should be New Westminster. You ever hear that story?
Maybe
Victoria.
We have time for a story.
Victoria stole it from under New Westminster.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Gee, somebody's got to do something.
Yeah, so the Victoria team, they switched up the speech that the New Westminster delegation was going to give, and the New Westminster guy fumbled and stumbled, and the capital ended up being in Victoria. I think that's how it went.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Is that correct? I'd heard that story kind of second or third hand.
It's breaking news, everybody.
Sorry, we have to talk about fentanyl now. So as you know, President Trump is continuing to use Canada's fentanyl crisis as a smokescreen for his economic coercion of Canada, even though a number of his fellow lawmakers, including his fellow Republicans, are calling BS on his debunked premise that Canada is a major transit country for fentanyl ending up in the streets in the United States. Are you worried that some of the language that you have used surrounding Canada's fentanyl crisis, language like super labs, kingpins, concerns surrounding uninspected shipping containers at the ports, that any of that sort of language is going to give oxygen to President Trump's narrative, which looks to be on its last legs? And are you planning to tone down any of that sort of rhetoric?
Well, I have not used rhetoric. I've used facts. They are super labs. In fact, I think the police call them super labs. The RCMP announced that they had actually shut down a super lab, which had enough fentanyl to kill hundreds, if not thousands, of people. I couldn't care less what a foreign leader thinks about our fentanyl problem. As you notice, I didn't mention any foreign leader in my speech, and I've been speaking about this for years. I put out a video about the fentanyl crisis in the Lower Mainland 2 years ago. And remember, everyone said that it was all wrong and all exaggerated. Now everybody admits that not only was my identification of the problem correct, but so were all of my solutions. So I don't accept the idea that we should stop saving our kids from fentanyl overdoses because of something the United States is saying. The Americans have the American problem with fentanyl has nothing to do with Canada. But at the same time, we have to take care of our own people. I'm not doing this for anyone other than the people who are suffering from addictions, so that not one more mother has to answer the rap on the door from a police officer who's there to tell her that her little baby boy or girl died on a street corner somewhere. I'm doing this for the 50,000 people we have lost. And I totally reject the idea that we cannot solve the problems that are in our own country because of a foreign distraction. Mark Carney recently told a group of Liberal supporters that fentanyl is not a crisis in Canada, just in the United States. It's hard to believe how anyone could be so out of touch. And he can't be trusted to change course. In fact, he doesn't want to. He's doubled down and recruited candidates who are even too radical for Justin Trudeau. For example, his hand-picked candidate said, and I quote, "Liberals would be smart to lean into drug decriminalization." And another said, "Legalizing all drugs would be good for Canada." Carney's star Liberal candidate in Vancouver is Gregor Robertson, an early advocate of drug decriminalization and unsafe government-funded supply. He wrote to a House of Commons committee studying the issue of drug dens, these consumption sites, and he said that local community opposition should be ignored. I'm going to quote him here. "Factors such as the impact of the site on crime rates, and expressions of community support or opposition should not be relevant to the federal government's approval process. I want you to digest that statement for a moment. Factors such as the impact of the site on crime rates and expressions of community support or opposition should not be relevant to the federal government's approval process for drug consumption sites. So this Liberal candidate who's running today, newly recruited by Mark Carney, says that even if drug dens jack up crime rates in a given community, they should be able to go ahead. This is a federal decision under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. And the Liberal team want more of these. Liberals want more of these drug dens in every single community in our country. No wonder that when Gregor Robertson was mayor of Vancouver, overdoses increased by 600%. For 3 terms in government, the Liberal Party has caused the addiction crisis to spiral out of control.
I want to get your response of many Chinese Canadian parents are increasingly worried about youth exposure to drugs. So how will your plan include prevention and education for youth in immigrant communities?
Thank you very much. And I want to take a moment to thank the Chinese community for leading the charge against the drug den in Richmond and against the radical drug liberalization agenda of the Liberal Party. First of all, we have to close the drug dens. No drug dens within 500 meters of schools, playgrounds, daycare centers, hockey arenas, or any other place where children should go. Secondly, we need to stop giving out taxpayer-funded hydro-morphone pills, which are being systematically resold to children. Third, we need to bring in life sentences for fentanyl drug kingpins. These are anyone who is caught trafficking or producing more than 40 milligrams of fentanyl should get a life sentence. Fourth, we need to secure our borders with high-powered scanners and watchtowers to interrupt fentanyl ingredients from coming into our country. And finally, we need, for those young people who do get, unfortunately, connected with a life of drugs, we need to get them treatment and recovery services as soon as possible. We want, instead of having drug consumption sites, for example, we want to have a welcoming place for people who are addicted to come and get detox, maybe medication that will reduce the symptoms of withdrawal, give them counseling, and help them get connected with a recovery center whose goal is to make them drug-free. And that is how we're going to stop the spread of drugs and save our children. Thank you so much.